Subtitled The Fourth Way to Consciousness, in search of being inspires seekers to look for esoteric meanings by combining science and religion. Equating knowledge of reality to true knowledge of being, the book has the roots of its methods in Antiquity. It teaches how to achieve liberation by distinguishing what is real from what it isn't. Impressed by how much it informs the modern left-hand path, such as its common grounds with contemporary science, in this video I'll discuss some of its ideas I find most interesting. Before that, consider subscribing to my channel and newsletter if you find the content valuable and entertaining. Check my books such as my products on Gumroad and Etsy. Also, feel free to support me using the provided in the description links. By supporting me, you also help my work, keeping me improving and growing as a creator. The Four Ways. Gurdjieff recognizes three traditional paths or ways towards self-transformation. Focusing on mastering the physical body, the first is the way of the fakir. The second is that of the monk, which concentrates on faith and religion, and the third is the one of the yogi, developing the mind. Called the Fourth Way, Gurdjieff's approach requires working with all three. It integrates religion and science to explore the deeper parts of human nature. It views this can be only achieved when those two collaborate. It also aims to increase understanding not based on obedience and faith, but by awakening another intelligence and bringing a new conception of God. Comment. I don't know about you, but this resembles some methods for what we now call total self-development, mind-body-spirit, and even biohacking, especially considering that Gurdjieff also utilized psychoactive substances. Let me know if you agree. Ancient science. Uniting the elements of forgotten knowledge, the fourth way is also called ancient science. One reason is that it views the physical world similarly to modern physics, and it also considers real only that which could be measured and proved via control experiments. So apparently, the fourth way also has commonalities with Telema. Also called Esoteric Christianity, the fourth way system has two main goals. 1. Understanding the human being's place in the cosmos and the meaning of human life on Earth, and 2. To help one know and experience the reality of both finite and infinite worlds simultaneously. Prayer and intention. Gurdjieff notes that the Christian liturgy represents a condensed course of the science dealing with the universe and the human beings. He also teaches that concentration and intention are the keys to prayer. It really isn't the mere repetition, but being fully immersed and experiencing each word with your being. And this also applies to prayer and affirmations you create for yourself. In fact, the author doesn't view those as much different, and you can let me know if you agree. Esoteric Christianity. In search of being defines most people as Christians who merely use different names and vastly misunderstand the religion. It also challenges the mainstream notion that Christianity emerged from the Hebrew and Greco-Roman religions. Page 117, quote, "The Christian church is actually a school, although this has been long forgotten. Imagine a school where the teachers give lectures and perform explanatory demonstrations without even knowing that this is what they are doing, and where the pupils or simply visitors think these lectures and demonstrations are nothing more than ceremonies and rituals. This is the Christian church of our times. It was all taken ready-made from Egypt, although not from the historical Egypt that we are familiar with, but from the one we do not know. This Egypt occupied the same place, but existed much earlier. To say that this prehistoric Egypt was Christian before the birth of Christ is to recognize that its religion was based on the same principles and ideas that constitute true Christianity." Unquote. How to be a Christian. To be a Christian, Gurdjieff explains, isn't about a mere decision or preference, nor it is based on your conditioning and upbringing. Instead, it requires the actual ability to be one. And this means being a master of yourself, achieving an inner unification, and becoming what he defines as a true individual. And as stressed elsewhere, that's reconciling all your little yous, so they do not fight but serve the greater good. Comment. If you think about it, like Yeshua, the cross is all about reconciling opposites. Also, if you read between the lines of some of Dion Fortune's work, you'll likely recognize that that was what Jesus was actually teaching and eventually got killed for. Let me know if you agree. Essence and personality. The fourth way has two divisions of the human being, and the first is on two main parts, essence and personality. Attributing to instincts and one's inner child, essence is one's true self. It is also what the real unified I develops / emerges from. Attributing to all forms of external conditioning accumulated through one's life, personality includes feelings created by imitation, impressions from learning, and anything that doesn't actually belong to the person. Hence, why it's not essential. Page 39. Quote, "A small child is what he really is, with no personality. His essence and his desires, tastes, and his likes and dislikes reflects his being such as it is. It is only when so-called education begins that personality begins to develop, formed partially by the intentional influences of other people and partially by the child's involuntary imitation of them. In this formation, a great part is also played by the child's resistance to those around him and attempts to hide from them something that is his own or real. Essence represents the true nature of man, whereas personality is false." Unquote. Culture. Gurdjieff explains that highly educated and cultured people in urban areas have well-developed personalities. Similarly, those closer to nature have grown an active essence in favor of their personalities. He also adds that personality creates culture and culture personality, and I should really think of that. Let me know if you feel the same. Nevertheless, the author also points out that personality is crucial as it allows access to the tools and tactics for personal development and transformation. So the key is to keep your essence growing while building a personality that supports and facilitates that. As I like to say, develop a personality that won't hinder but support and nourish the growth of your essence. Let me know if you agree. The four bodies. The fourth way also recognizes four bodies of the human being, partially resembling the Kabbalistic parts of the soul. 1. Physical or carnal. 2. Natural or astral. 3. Mental and spiritual. And 4. Divine or causal. The first is viewed as the carriage, the second as the horse, the third as the driver, and the fourth as the master, pure consciousness. Not mentioning anything about going top to bottom, Gurdjieff considers each emerging from the previous, growing from the lowest to the highest. And while they are all important, each is superior to those below, and it also has complete control over them and access to realms they do not. And while these loosely correspond to Guf, Nefesh, Ruach and Neshama and Kia, Gurdjieff doesn't recognize them as being parts of everyone. Quote, "Some kind of similar divisions may be found in most schools of thought that acknowledge in man something more than the physical body. But almost all these teachings, while repeating in a recognizable form the divisions of the ancient doctrine, have nevertheless forgotten the most important thing of all. Namely, that although the more refined bodies can be artificially cultivated under favorable internal and external conditions, no one possesses them from birth. Only a person who possesses four fully developed bodies can be called man in the full sense of the word." Unquote. Comment. Perhaps Gurdjieff's crystallization and refinement may be viewed as similar to connecting with the higher parts of the soul in the more traditional systems. Let me know if you agree. Also, what is your take on whether all people possess those from birth? Feel free to let me know about that too. Inner Alchemy, page 48 and 49. Quote, "The development of the inner bodies of a man is a material process analogous to the growth of the physical body. To grow, a child must have good food and healthy organism to prepare the material necessary for the growth of tissues. The same is necessary for the growth of the higher bodies." Unquote. In Search of Being emphasizes how nutrition plays a crucial role in expanding one's consciousness and developing the higher bodies. Besides nutrition, the book also considers one's informational diet, such as the air they breathe. It also says that not getting impressions equals death, and the reason is that this is how nature transmits energy to us, sustaining our being. Having a proper diet with all three is key. It doesn't just make you live healthily, but also helps you develop the higher bodies and elevate your consciousness. And when that's the case, Gurdjieff explains, you start having unseen levels of energy, as if tapping into a new source. Comment. In my humble opinion, and based on a decade of experience, this is precisely what happens when you enter deep ketosis via proper nutrition and the OMAD plan. Instead of relying on snacking, your body starts tapping into its reserves, converting them into sustained energy levels via beta oxidation. For the record, the average person carries about 40,000 calories in fat deposits, lasting up to a month. On the other hand, the average human body can store no more than 400 grams of carbs, lasting for no more than 2 days. You do the math on your own. Similar miraculous benefits are also recognized when you replace junk media like news, porn, and influencers with content from value creators, courses, and good books like this. Self-reflection. Like other Fourth Way books, In Search of Being stresses humans are machines trapped in a permanent sleep. Only through deep self-reflection and study one can understand something is wrong with their machine and begin improving things. Self-observation, Gurdjieff explains, is the foundation of initiating a change and getting the most out of life. Page 157, quote, "In observing ourselves, we notice that self-observation itself brings about certain changes in our inner processes. We begin to understand that self-observation is an instrument of self-change. By observing ourselves, we throw, as if it were a ray of light, onto inner processes that up to now have worked in darkness. Even a feeble light of consciousness is enough to completely transform the character of a process and to make many processes altogether impossible." Unquote. The power of compounding. In Search of Being recommends taking small steps toward any goal and basically using what we now call the power of compounding. As written in scientifically backed bestsellers like Atomic Habits and Tiny Habits, the best way to build habits and discipline isn't through sheer willpower. The key is to break anything down into tiny steps or habits to frequently and effortlessly take and engage in. The more that happens, the more a habit is fixed and the less challenging the initially difficult becomes. Page 158, quote, "Today we have an abnormal appetite to do things that are too big for us. We can never do these things, and this appetite keeps us from doing the small things we could do. We have to destroy this appetite and forget big things. We must make going against a small habit our aim." Unquote. Comment. Elsewhere, Gurdjieff stresses the importance of strong will. Yet, in my humble opinion, that's not so much about willpower as it is about having a powerful and clear intent toward an aim. And I'd say this is very similar to what Napoleon Hill defined as definite chief aim. Let me know if you agree. You sustain this intent and achieve your goal through small steps and incremental progress. But that's just my opinion. Feel free to let me know if you agree. Also, if you'd be interested in diving into subjects like productivity and behavioral science. Otherwise, like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel and my newsletter for more content. Consider checking my digital products, music and books. Support me with either of the links in the description and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for your time.